Hello everybody, welcome to Talk Tech Culture. So on today's episode, we'll be building a simple text to image application, strictly front end. We'll be using ReactJS, and the API for making the text to image calls will be using ClipDrop. It is an API that allows us to convert text to images, and we're using the free version, okay? So we'll first navigate to ClipDrop and see how we can get this particular API. Let's see how it's done. I already have the account. I'll just take you guys through the steps in getting this. You click on this API link, and then it says contact us to get started. I'm already signed in, so I'm going to first sign out, and then let's start. You click and you enter your email, any email of your choice. Let me just look for an email that I can be using here. Okay, so you click on sign in, and it will ask you to check your email, and then it's going to give you what you will need. So we're going to go into my email. I'm going to open this email in another screen so we can see that. So you will see this particular email, which allows you to sign in. So it says click this to sign in. I'm just going to copy this email because I want to close this. Yes, I want to leave. And then I'm going to open this here. This is the ClipDrop. This is the authentication. Okay. So as you can see, it gives me a user ID. I can click on this to claim the free credit. And this is to reveal the API key. It's very, very simple. So when I click on claim free credits, I need to enter my name and my telephone number. Okay, I've already used my telephone number for the other one, so I'm not continuing. Plus, I already have the API, guys. So you enter your name, your telephone number, and then you claim your credits. You obviously say you're not a robot, and this is going to give you 100 free credits, which allows you guys, it allows you to have the API to generate 100 images in essence. So if you like it, then you can go into their pricing section, and then you pay for stuff like that. You pay for what you would like to go with it. Okay, so that's about it for ClipDrop. Okay, so now let's run the application and see how it looks like. So this is our text image application powered by ClipDrop and ReactJS. ClipDrop is going to give us access to an API. We're using the free version, and this free version allows us to generate up to 100 images. Okay, so here is the window we'll be entering our text. We have our button, which will be enabled once there's text here to generate our images. And these are the tips that I'm leaving you to follow in order to generate beautiful and wonderful images. So let's get started and see how this application works. So first of all, I have a text that I'm going to paste here, and we get to see the images. As you can see, the button is enabled. We click on it. We're waiting for the image to be generated. Voila, a beautiful image is generated. And then we can click on this download to download the image. We can open it and see the images. We can click on this to clear the whole text. And we can see here our prompt, which we entered, is right here. The description is here. So now we're just going to click on clear, and then we're back to the beginning to start generating images. So this is a very simple build, guys. Don't forget to click the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so that you're notified whenever we upload right here at Talk Tech Culture. Now let's dive in and start. I've opened Tailwind's website so that you can see what we're doing, because we're building with Tailwind and React. Let me just minimize this so that we can follow the instructions on Tailwind. And then we're also using TypeScript, okay, guys? We're also using TypeScript. So let me just write the command npx create react. Let's copy this first. And I'm going to change it. So paste npx create react. We're calling it generate AI text to image. Pretty long name. AI text to image, create npx create React. I think I'm missing something here. Okay. All right. And we want to add TypeScript to our template. So template, TypeScript, and then it's going to start generating our React app for us. Okay, this will take some time, so let's just give it some time to do. Excellent. So now this is done. So I'm going to cd into the project, and then I just want to do this in the terminal, and then we just go straight to opening Visual Studio. So copy this, which allows us to install Tailwind. One will ask, what is Tailwind? It's simply a utility class library, which allows us to use CSS classes without writing them. Let's say I want to have margin top, margin bottom, 2 pixels, 20 pixels. With the Tailwind utility classes, I just write one line of code and that interprets all that I want them to do. Okay, so now let's just enter this. Okay, so it's installed Tailwind, and then we're going to initialize Tailwind using just copy and paste here. It's pretty simple to do. All right, so let's initialize. Okay, this is done. So now we need to open Visual Studio Code in order to proceed. Now VS Code is open to us. Yes, I trust the author. And then we can see the Tailwind config file here. Certain things here that I do not need, but I can just ignore it for this build. Okay, so as Tailwind is telling us here, we go into this. But first of all, there's something we call IntelliSense in Visual Studio Code or in any other IDE that you can. It helps you complete code. So Tailwind also has one, but in order to invoke it, you need to have the Tailwind extension. I've already installed my Tailwind extension, so you can simply go to your IDE where you install your extensions and type Tailwind CSS IntelliSense. With this particular tool, it will make your coding easier and smoother. Trust me, guys. All right, so now this is done. I'm not using Copilot for this build, so I can close that. Then we're going to copy this. Very important. This allows Tailwind to go within your code folder, your source folder, and then make use of that there. And this is also very important for the CSS. So I'm going to be cleaning. I don't need all of this CSS because we're doing our own build. We don't need all this. So here I'm going to paste this, as Tailwind is telling us that you should paste this particular code within your index.css. And this should be the first code. So if you want to add extra customized CSS, they should fall below this one. Okay, guys, very, very important. Okay. So now that we have all this done, let me minimize this. Okay. We can go into our app.tsx. We don't need this logo. Yes, as we do not need this. Now I'm going to remove this, and then I'll try to type something within Tailwind. And you can see it's giving me IntelliSense. This is what I call IntelliSense. The beauty of Tailwind, let's say I want to have the size text of size. You see, it explains that this particular size, I'm getting a text with font size 1.875 rem, which is equivalent to 30 pixels. So if I write hello world here and then run this particular application, I want to run this with my command. Sorry guys, I just love hello my command. So, and beautifully done. Let me just stop this. Hold up. And reduce this to maybe 2XL. You can see when you even hover on it, it gives you the details of it. So without this text, if I didn't have Tailwind, I have to write font size this, line height this to get this particular style that I want. If I change this to 2XL, it reduces. So you go into the Tailwind documentation and then read about some of these styling. So now that we have Tailwind installed, let me stop this application and then let's start our build. First, what are we going to be doing? We're going to be creating a container, the first container that houses the body of application. So we're going for this. Let me reduce this so that we can code and see what's going on. Okay, so this is the body. So we're going to be pasting code for this body, which has the AI image generator here. We're going to be doing that. I just want the build to be fast, guys. So I'll be doing a lot of copy and paste. Please bear with me. And then I'm going to be explaining the code, not to worry. Okay, so we have this. This is to show us here. Okay, I need to run this application in the background so we get to see what's going on as we building. Okay, very, very important. So when I click on, this is what we're building, this is what was come, click on this, we will see it. Okay, so it's coming alive. So we can see we get this simple CSS. Let me wrap the CSS code so we get to see it. So as you can see, this is giving us a minimum height, a background gradient, the colors from sky. This is a darker blue, a medium blue, then to the lighter one. So you can see the color grading, how it's moving from darker to lighter. Basically, that is what is happening here. So we can now remove our hello world because we don't need this. And then the next thing is we're going to be handling our inner div. Okay. Just going to paste this here. Okay, yes, it's complaining because I didn't close this. It's what I try to avoid when I'm doing builds. Okay, so now the next is the div that is going to handle this section, the image generator, which is powered by ClipDrop and React. Like I said, please bear with me, just a tad bit of copy paste and I'll explain whatever we're doing. So here, image generator, we can see here, this is the div that is handling that. Okay, so we have the text, we're centering the text, the margin bottom, 2 rem, which is equivalent to 32 pixels, guys. Then we have the text for Excel, font bold, text white, then we have the image generator, and then we have a text white. You can see here, this /90 is an opacity that we're adding to it. Instead of writing the whole color, you see how Tailwind makes writing code easier and really clean? Please stick with Tailwind, it helps a lot, okay? The next one we'll be dealing with is this particular div. And this is what's going to house everything, our images, our text, our prompt, tips to be given to the user on the quality of prompt. If you're new to prompt engineering, I have a video for it. Kindly click, I'm going to add the link to that particular video in this video. So you can click on it to learn about prompt engineering. It's very important how you craft your prompt so that the language models can generate whatever you want it to do with proper precision and then there's less hallucination. Now I'm going to put the div that will be needed for our images. Okay, first of all, okay, I think this should be the div. Okay, and then I'm going to add a div which will be handling our error. Okay. So I want to add it in the beginning so that not to worry about the red, we're going to define these particular states very, very soon. And then, so now, this is the div that is handling this. All right. So now we need the text input that is going to contain, this is the div that we've built, okay? let me define this error thing so we can get over it, so we can save and see what we're doing here. So const, I'm going to have the error, set error. We're using, as I said, we're using TypeScript. Use state. We're using TypeScript, so we have to define, I want it to be a string. Okay. And also allow null values. So I'm going to pass null for its initial. And you can see, voila, I see all the complaining is gone. And now we have our div created here. So this is what is handling this. This we can't see because there's no error now. All right, so we're going to be entering in the container to handle the text input. This will come after our error. Okay, not to worry. Let me just define it so that we know that what each container is doing. I just like to add comments to my, so we know what we're doing at each step. Okay, so this is a container handling our text input. And then I'm going to paste the label, the one that we see here. Describe your image. I'm going to be pasting this here. Describe your image. As you can see, I saved, it's there. Describe your image. And then the text area. The text area is where we're going to be typing our prompt. I'm using a closing, self-enclosing, tag, so we don't need all that. So the value, I'm going to be passing a value called prompt info. That's the prompt text. I will define it very soon, not to worry. Then on change, I'm going to pass a function. I'm going to call on prompt change, do something. And then we have the rows for our text area. I'm going to pass for, we have a placeholder, a photo of students, okay, in a classroom. This is just, how do you call it, a placeholder, guys. There's nothing serious. Lightning, realistic. Okay. So now disabled, I'm going to pass loading. When my loading is true, that's when my image is being generated. My text area should be disabled so the user doesn't keep typing stuff whilst the image is being generated. That can be confusing to the API because we have a text we send to the API. If we allow the text area to be manipulated, it's like ChatGPT, Gemini. You realize that whenever it's generating the image, the text area is disabled because it prevents the user from sending multiple requests without allowing the API, the language models, from finishing the first request that it received. Okay, all right. So I'm going to copy and paste the styling that I have here. Okay, yeah, it's complaining because I haven't defined prompt info, prompt change, and then loading. So let's go straight to define these. So all these errors can stop. Okay, so we have prompt info, set prompt info. What do we want prompt info? What's the type we want it? We want it to be a string. Okay. And then we're going to pass an empty string as its definition. The next one is we want loading because we defined loading. Set loading. Okay, hold up. Use state. I want loading is obviously a boolean because it can be true or false. So that type, and then initial loading is false. And then the error has already been set. So now let's just add this on prompt change function, const on prompt change. We're going to be passing an event here. This thing, I'm going to show you another way to do this. We can pass the event. We can create an arrow function here where the event is passed here or done like this. This JavaScript, we can do it as we want. So change event, HTML, text area. Come on, do I have to type everything? Text area element. Thank you, IntelliSense. Okay, let me complete this. Now, what am I doing here? Whenever there's a change in the text within the text area, so we set prompt info, we pass it the e.target dot value. That's the event. We want to get the value from the event that was emitted. And then if there's any error, we simply set error to null. Okay. We can pass a better error here. If there's any error, you can pass a better error, but we're too lazy to do that, guys. So, beautiful, voila. So as you can see, we have a beautiful design here. You can see our image. No, you can hear. As you can see, we have the generate image. Okay, this button is simply doing what this is doing. This is the button that we're trying to create right now here. So the loading, if it's false, if loading is false, the button is not disabled. It means we can, click on the button. But if loading is true, means an image is being generated, the user should not be allowed to, click on the button and stuff like that. And this is also dependent on the text. If there's no text here, there's nothing to generate. So the button should be disabled. And these are the CSS that I'm adding to it. This disable that we're seeing here, cursor not allowed. This is the power of Tailwind. Okay, so the next thing, let me just add a function for this generate image so it can stop complaining. All right, so we're good. So now we're going to add what is going to be within here. So within this button, going to set loading. Okay, going to set loading, whereby everything here, the functions of this button will change depending on whatever is here, and what the user gets to see is dependent on here. So I'm just going to, let me just write this instead of copy pasting to make our coding enjoyable, guys. So we have a span. If loading is true, okay, show this. Else, I want you to show something else. Else, show generate image. That means that the image previously has already been generated, so the user can generate another image. So in this span, we're just going to be adding an SVG image, which will just show a circular, just animation to show a circular icon which is spinning whilst the loading is ongoing. All right, so for this one, just be doing more copy paste here just to show us what's going on. It's just it's like putting an image. I prefer to use SVGs instead of proper images, because sometimes the browser can be slow and the image will not load, and it makes the whole thing not really nice. So just gonna add this generating and tell the user to please wait, as this could take 30 to 60 seconds. Okay. And that's about it. So we have our generate image. This is what we just did here. Okay, I keep navigating to this so that you can see how our build is getting to. So now that we have generate image, our next is to have the tips area, and then the final is the image div. Remember, the image div is going to be between the generate button and the tips. So it's going to be around here. Okay, here no image has been generated. That's why it's looking like this. Okay, not to worry. So now we're done with this. We're going to move on to a loader. And what is it? Is to create, we're just adding extra messages at the bottom. Nothing special. And then we'll get into the tips. Okay, guys, not to worry. So we're just going to add a code which adds extra messages to tell the user that, oh, we're generating the image. This typically takes 30 to 60 to 30 seconds. Please don't close this particular page that has been opened as the images is being generated, the usual, blah, 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 blah. So this is simple. I'm just adding this because it's good to, communicate with the user in as much as the user is seeing this, please wait, blah, blah, blah. It's nice to add more info so the user can feel that it's an interactive application. All right. So we get this. So this is basically what I wanted to add. So if loading is true, we're adding a div with text we're centering. You can't see this because this is dependent on the loader. And then we're saying that the inline block, we're setting inline block. The beauty of Tailwind, guys. With this, I can, instead of having a CSS class, add and display inner block, I just add this utility class and I'm good to go. So we have the background purple. When we see it, this is how it's going to look like. The border, the size of the border should be with 2 pixels. The color of the border, we're setting it to purple. This has to do with the PX is horizontal padding, so left and right. As you can see, when we hover on it, we can see the meaning of that. And this is vertical padding, and this is the border radius rounded XL, the size of it. So here we just added a cookie emoji here, and we're saying we're creating the image and we're giving it info. This typically takes 30 to 60 seconds. Please don't close this page. So this is simple. So now the next is that we're going to be adding the ticks. So just copy and paste with the tips one. Okay, so it's complaining about this. We're just going to create this particular here, particular state here, image URL, set image URL, use state, whether we pass the image URL, which would definitely be a string. And we also want to accept null values. So we're passing this and then initialize it with the null. So when we save, voila, as you can see, we have this tips div showing to us. Sorry, guys. So the next is the most amazing, wonderful div that we're going to be building. The next, and this div is supposed to show between. This div is to come here. This is where this is our image div, our image box area. Just adding this comment to it so we know that we're in the image box area. So this is the section. So I'm going to add the div for our image. In this section, we have a condition which says that if the image URL is true, that if we have an image URL and loading is false, we want to see, why am I doing this? We want to see this particular div, that is our image div, where we give it a class margin top 8, which is 32 pixels. Yeah, I won't see it, guys. Won't see whatever I'm doing right now. We're not going to see. We'll see it when we click on the generate image and all that. Okay. So I'm going to add the code below here, which allows us to see Okay, so we have the border. When the image comes to life, we'll see it. So this is the where the image URL will be passed to the image tag. Then the alt, let me just add generated image. In case the image doesn't show, the alternative tells the user that an image exists. It's just a problem with the browser that it's not displaying the image as we will want it. And then we're setting the error to fail to load image. All right. In case there's an error on, the usual guys. So now, after that, we're going to be adding the buttons, which allows us to download the image and then clear the image. Because the browser stores the image. Whenever a browser is showing you an image, it has a memory, a temporary memory where it's storing the image. So we need to clear it to avoid memory leaks and stuff like that. All right. So I'm going to just add this code for the button. Just gonna paste this here. So this is our buttons area. And then what's this buttons do? And we can't see it, as I said earlier, because of these conditions, okay? I can actually remove these conditions so we can see it. But anyway, let's explain it first. So this button is for downloading, and this is for the clearing of the buttons. We get to see it. I think I'm wrapping this text. Yeah, it's wrapped. So let me define this and then remove these conditions so we get to see how it looks like. Okay, let me just remove it. Simply complain about this SRC, okay? Not to worry. Let me just get rid of these guys and click. Let me comment on this. I just want to see the layout of it. Oh, so this is the layout. You realize you saw something red, which is the error, blah, blah, blah. So the layout